everybody. Welcome to Vikings Report Rewind. Your Minnesota Vikings are 2-0 after having just defeated the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 23-17 at home at US Bank Stadium in their home opener. As always, I'm your host, Ted Glover. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Drew Bunning and Christopher Gates. What a game, guys. What a game.
Yeah, it was. That was something.
Hey, Ted.
Yeah.
Do I have one time have your permission for Boxcar Willie?
Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Go ahead. Boxcar Willie. All right. That's enough.
Okay.
All right. That's
We did it. We did it. Ted called it. I did not think they would get it done. We did it. We are 2-0. Whole team is injured, but we're 2-0.
Let's talk about that injury. Let's talk about the whole team is injured. Specifically that last drive. We'll go back and recap the whole game. And we were all kind of talking about this. We have a chat that we talk. No update on Jefferson yet from Nick Howard. That I know of. All I heard was a quad injury. It kind of sounded like a hamstring. Probably trader Bob from Bloomington here. I think it's possible the Vikings start 0-6 due to their schedule. Okay, I'll hang up. Hey, look, before we get going, before we get into the game, as always, we've got about a little over 30 people in the chat room. I'm sure that'll go up here momentarily as people straggle in. But if you want to be eligible to win a prize, we spin an electronic wheel of destiny, as we like to call it, at the end of the show. To be eligible to win the prize, all you have to do is make a comment like Bobby Trader or Nick or Shane Lind or Dan Lee.
Come on in, people. Come on in.
Yeah. So, anyways, make a comment. You'll be eligible to win a prize. If you make a comment that any one of us three like, you'll be an on-the-spot winner. We'll let you know. All you have to do is contact Ruby at VikingsReport@gmail.com. Anyways, that game-clinching drive, that was a gut-check drive for the Vikings because the Vikings were up at that point 20-7. It looked like they were going to go up and just throttle the 49ers. The 49ers came with an all-out blitz. The Vikings had a great call.
Mm-hmm.
Sam got the ball out to Aaron Jones on a screen pass. Looked like he was going in to score a touchdown to make it 27-7. Jones fumbled at the 1-foot line, and the 49ers commenced to go 99 yards and make it a 20-14 game. And you're thinking, man, this and on that drive, the play before, Justin Jefferson was hurt and Nick Bosa was hurt, and you're thinking this is like the most Vikings thing ever. And you're yeah. But to the Vikings' credit, yeah, what a great win, what a great feeling it is, because that sort of felt like, okay, here it comes. This is the gut punch that we all know is coming. And after that, credit to Sam Darnold, man, with nothing but backups. I mean, his receivers were Brandon Powell, Jalen Naylor,
and Jackson was out there.
Tristan Jackson, and the tight end was Johnny Munt. When you going into the season, you thought you were going to have T.J. Hawkinson, maybe, Justin Jefferson, and
Jordan Addison.
And Jordan Addison, yeah.
And Aaron Jones got hurt on like the first play of the drive too, so he wasn't out there for much of it. It was mostly the Ty Chandler show. In the backfield. So
yeah, I mean, and that third down 20-yard throw to Naylor to get into field goal range was just a ballsy seed, man. I mean, he just whatever. I'm throwing it. I mean, that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. That was That was a drive the Vikings normally don't make in that situation, Drew.
Right. Yeah. That is exactly right. That's why we're so waiting for the moment to happen, Ted, to all fall apart, because we've seen it so many times. We've seen it so many times when the momentum throws back, the Vikings can't get it back. And they did it 2 or 3 times in this game. Mm-hmm. And they did it a little bit last week when the Giants, even though it seemed lopsided, they had a couple times they were going to grab the momentum, and we kept them from doing it. Again, for the second straight week, I love the play calling. And I don't say that about KOC's play calling that often, Chris, Ted, but that play to Naylor for the touchdown, another beautifully designed. That was beautiful. How they hit him at the line of scrimmage. They just tucked him in, and then when he ran by both wide open in the end zone, I'm happy with the play calling because KOC didn't go into that scared shell, trying to run it up the middle every down. Those 2 conversions on 3rd down on the drive Ted just talked about, Brandon Powell, and then we had the long pass to Naylor. Sam Darnold is money. The Vikings are got to be among one of the best teams in the NFL. I know it's early, but that was a great drive. That was a great. That's what winning teams do on drives, Ted.
Chris, last week you mentioned during our pregame show, you said, well, everybody's saying this week 1 win. Well, it's the Giants. You can't say after week 2, well, it's just the Giants and the 49ers. You can't say that now.
No, this is a team that's gone to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls from the NFC. This is a team that had a quarterback who was on the short list for MVP last year. And Ted said it last week. I mean, if you got some pressure on the guy, he's going to make some bad throws, and Dude made some bad throws. I mean, he had the one that wound up in Jihad Ward's hand somehow. He didn't even have to get hit. The ball just came out of his damn hand as he was trying to throw it for, and he didn't have a chance to get comfortable. I mean, unless you count that last drive where the Vikings were playing just ridiculously soft defense. But yeah, he put up a lot of yards, but he did not have an effective game.
No, I mean, he threw for over 300 yards, but I think we said during the pregame show, if you pressure Brock Purdy, he'll make mistakes, and he did today. Now he made some good throws. He does. He just does. But you can also pressure him into mistakes, and he made some mistakes today, and it cost the 49ers the game. I think
something we've been talking about, Ted, for 4 years. If you watch this show, we talk a lot about every NFL team's good. It comes down to that crucial handful of plays.
Yep.
There's going to be 5 or 6 plays. The Niners offense put up good numbers today. The Vikings offense put up good numbers. Both teams played pretty good defense all the way around. But this is the epitome and the example of those handful of plays that Bud Grant used to talk about. One team is going to make more than the other. Both teams are good. They have a lot of talent. The Vikings made the bigger plays today. They did. Yep. So that's what my first thought was at the end of the game is both teams fought it out, but the Vikings had the blocked kick. Didn't get my fake punt, but I got a blocked punt. And they made some big 3rd down throws and the turnovers. Metellus, Michigan, inside
you're a Michigan guy again.
They made more big plays than the Niners did.
Metellus makes a big play almost every single week. At least 1 or 2 plays every single week.
I don't think if Brian Florence didn't become defensive coordinator, Metellus wouldn't be on this team.
No.
Cam Bynum wouldn't be on this team. Patrick Jones wouldn't be on this team. They've all blossomed because of Brian Flores.
Yeah, let's kind of I agree. And you mentioned the block kick. Let's kind of go back and we talked about that game clinching drive. Let's kind of go back and talk. And Van Ginkel, free agency acquisition of the year so far. Nelson Williams, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
That block punt. Both teams kind of went 3 and out to start the game. The Vikes went 9 plays, 33 yards, didn't get anything. That block punt, CJ Ham came in, blocked the punt. Vikings had the ball in plus territory, couldn't get it into the end zone. And last week on 4th and goal, in a very similar situation, the Vikings went for it. Darnold threw the ball to Justin Jefferson. They got a touchdown. This week they decided to kick the field goal, and I was okay with it this week because I felt that blocking the punt and not getting anything out of it would have been like a very demoralizing thing at that point after the way it was kind of an uneven flow to the game the way it started. I don't know about you, Chris, but did you want them to go for it, or were you okay with the field goal at that point?
No, I was okay with the field goal. And like you said last week, they had that situation against the Giants where they wound up going for it. And it almost has to come down to the quality of the opponent you're going up against because, I know Drew just said every team in the NFL is good, but I mean, there is a hierarchy, obviously. And, you can't not get points against a team like the Niners, whereas, a team like the Giants, they're not on that level, so you can take those risks more frequently, and that's what KOC did last week, and this week I think he was smart to take the points rather than try to do anything risky or crazy.
Well, I think the Vikings already had a 7-3 lead, or maybe a 7-3 lead at last week when they went for it on 4th and goal too.
They did.
Not?
Yeah. That made it 14-3. The pass to Jefferson.
Were you okay with the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and goal this week, or did you want them to go for the 6 points?
Last week I was against it, even though they converted it. Anytime you get a fumble deep in the other team's territory, or a blocked kick, or an interception, you got to come away with points because they're free points.
Okay.
So that's the first thing you got to protect. You got to look at everything's a game situation. Everything's situational. But the Vikings also turned the ball over twice today, and so that really wasn't the difference to the game. But I was happy. We mentioned on our pregame show going up 10-0 last year, week 7, when we played the Niners, the Addison game.
Mm-hmm.
We were up 10-0, and we talked about wouldn't it be nice to get up 10-0 again, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
So I was okay with that early field goal. I was.
Okay. Then the Niners, they get the ball. They go 15 plays, 88 yards, and their drive stalls on like the 1 or 2. They get nothing out of it. It was a drive that consumed almost 10 minutes of game time, and they get nothing.
Zero.
You're not going to see that a lot.
Zip, not a zilch, and that was. And that was that fourth down. That fourth down play was I believe it was it Andrew Van Ginkel? I think tipped the ball at the line of scrimmage.
Van Ginkel tipped it, and Smith almost picked it off, but it wound up being incomplete.
And then came the play of the year so far for the Vikings. Darnold dropped back the pocket. He had good protection. He was under heavy pressure a good part of the day, but this is one of the few times he had a clean pocket. He found Justin Jefferson deep. He beat double coverage. And 97 yards later, touchdown Vikings.
That was an insane, just all the way around. I mean, the protection for Darnold was great. The throw was incredible. And then, Jefferson had to kind of cut across the rest of the field. And, it's tough to describe a play like that. I mean, we all remember the 99-yarder on Monday Night Football against the Bears. But I don't think anybody saw something like this coming in the situation they were in.
No. I kind of referenced that on Twitter. I said that was the most complimentary football the Vikings have played since 2008 when they had a goal, exact same situation. They had a goal line stand against the Bears. We all remember it.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget Benny Sapp because it was like they had the Bears stopped and Benny Sapp committed pass interference, which caused the Bears to get down to the 1 yard line. They still had the goal line stand, and then Gus Frerotte drops a 99-yard bomb right into Bernard Berrien's lap.
Our old friend Benny Sapp.
Yeah, Benny Sapp. Still irritated about that play.
Like I'm irritated about Willie Teal letting Dorsett get that last 10 yards. Come on, man, you can't tackle like that. It's situational football, and I think Flores has taught his defense that, and I think it's rubbing off on KOC because it doesn't matter where you're at or how the drive's going. What's the best you can get out of it?
Yeah.
With a coach like Shanahan, that guy, he's going to go for it. So Flores is thinking the whole time, if it gets to 4th down and we stop him, we totally won the drive. That's what he did. That's what he plays it all situationally. And Shanahan always goes for it. Shanahan kind of lost that game today.
Well, again, and it's a throw. We talked about this last week on that 4th and goal play to Jefferson, that touchdown pass, the earlier touchdown drive where Darnold threw it to Oliver. I don't think that's a throw that Kirk Cousins makes. I just don't.
And he doesn't have the onions to throw that long ball to Jefferson today either.
I don't think in that situation early in the game, I don't think Kirk Cousins takes that risk.
I want to point out something that Chuck Litwin put in the comments here. That the 99-yarder to Berrien, that was like Charles Tillman falling asleep and Bernard Berrien just run past him. Credit to Jalen Naylor for hauling ass downfield. To get in some dude's way to get Jefferson that last 20, because Jefferson could have been tackled at about the 15 or the 20-yard line, but no, Naylor just hauled it all the way down the field to to get in some dudes' way. That was some outstanding play from a guy that we might not necessarily expect that from either.
Niners safeties never thought he would throw it, Chris.
No,
No,
they sure didn't.
I think you're right, Drew. I honestly think you're right because I can't remember. It was Trent Green who was the color guy or the analyst. He said whoever the safety was, he said he was caught looking in the backfield, and he let Jefferson get behind him. He was supposed to have, I think, over the top coverage, and I think you're right. I don't think he thought Darnold would throw it that deep in his own in his own territory. I think you're right.
You don't want to let Jefferson get behind you.
No.
So the Vikings then hold the 49ers again. I think it was the 49ers went for it on fourth down. You said Shanahan is a gambler, and they were stopped, and it looked like the Vikings. So at the Vikings, at that point, they're up 10-0. It looks like they're going in. Kirk fumbles that hit in the back 11 times out of 10, quite possibly. Quite possibly. But we're not here to talk about players who are no longer on the team. We shouldn't be, anyways. And it looks like the Vikings are putting together another good drive, and this is where their first mistake is made. They're knocking on the door of the red zone, and they're at the 21-yard line, and Sam makes a throw. I thought it was when he left his hand. I thought, here we go. We're in business. It's going to be down inside the 10, and then Fred Warner makes a great play, and it's intercepted. And that was like the first mistake. And it was when it happened, it was inside of 5 minutes. 49ers take over at the 10 and they go 5 plays and they score a touchdown. And instead of it being 13-0 or 17-0, now it's 10-7. And you're like, golly, man. And you're thinking, well, okay, the Vikings still have 2 minutes and they're getting the ball to come out the third quarter. How can they run the 2-minute drive? Can they get points and at least get a score before they go into half? And how many times last year did their 2-minute offense look like a clown car at the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus?
A lot, Ted. I mean, the last 3 years it's looked like that. It just they have no 2-minute drill, and now all of a sudden they have it. But that was big points there. It's weird. The two times the Vikings were going to put the dagger in this game, Chris, they turned it over. Going down for that drive when Warner picked it off, they were going in for the dagger, and they were about to go up 27-7 on the team in the NFC when we had that fumble. But so the Niners should be fortunate they only lost by what they lost by, because we were about to put them to sleep twice.
Yeah,
and we let it get away, but we were resilient and bounced back.
I do want to point out that a couple folks on social media, to echo what Anthony Tollison said, is saying it's a quad contusion for Justin Jefferson. He's going to basically be day-to-day here, it appears, but it's a whole lot better than what it probably could have been. So I think when we saw Justin Jefferson laying on the field, we're Vikings fans. We automatically just had the worst case possible scenario in our head. And if it's a quad contusion, I'll take that. He'll be okay.
Thanks for the $5, Anthony. Too. I wanted to let people have been donating for the giving us money for the prize vault and everything. So when people donate, I want to give them a shout out. Thank you, Anthony, for the $5.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Even though your college team is terrible, they're 0-3, Florida State.
Trash at a state.
We don't want to waste any time talking about that.
Yeah. But I want to talk about that 2-minute drive to end the half. I mean, it was 8 plays, 49 yards. Really, really effective, really sharp, real crisp. And credit again to, although he had that interception, that last play he had, that 20-something yard scramble.
Yes.
Right at the end of the half. That was a heads-up play, man, because a lot of guys probably run an extra 2 or 3 yards and then lose that time, and the clock runs out, and then you get no points. He slid early, enough time on the clock, call a timeout, get Will Reichert out there. And Chuck Litwin, just what timing? How about Reichert? The kid looks good. Yeah, I think the Vikes finally have a legit kicker. Knock on wood. And Reichert gets the field goal, which kind of ends the half on a positive note. The Vikings
was big.
Yeah, I thought it was. Vikings going in the locker room with a 13-7 lead at half.
13-7. Yep.
Yeah, not which it could have been a lot worse than
They don't.
it was.
I don't keep mentioning last year, the last 2 years, guys, but it seems like we never did stuff like that.
No.
They would just run it up the middle, run the clock out, or they'd fumble or some BS thing, not even close to adding any points. Darnold is a different creature out there, man. He's different. Kirk Cousins went in the tank mentally. Darnold is a tough son of a bitch quarterback. You can say what you want about his past. That guy is a tough dude because he doesn't let a play bother him, man. He comes out and attacks your ass with the next drive. Sam Darnold has looked great the last 2 weeks.
He has. I mean, I think you're going to get one boneheaded play a week from Darnold. Somebody earlier mentioned, can we get rid of that pitch back to AJ that was, that 12 or 13 yard lost fumble? I don't. You guys remember that play? They were trying to do some kind of rollout thing. I think it was blown up from the beginning. Just hit the ground and whatever. Anyways, the second half started really unevenly. Both teams went 3 and out. Then the Vikings got I think it was the Metellus interception.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was after, the Vikings punted and the 49ers punt returner fumbled it, and the Vikings had like 42 guys around the ball, yet San Francisco somehow came up with it. How does that happen? I don't know. I don't know.
It's one of those football things.
Yeah. But Josh Metellus, man, what he's like a Swiss Army knife. He does like everything in that Vikings defense. He really does.
He's always around the football. I mean, those are the dudes that you want on defense. Dudes that they might not necessarily be making all the tackles or all the plays or whatever, but he is always there in the big moments, it seems like.
That's what he was at Michigan, and I'm glad we didn't lose him. The first couple of years of the Vikings, I thought he was going to get shipped off and he'd be doing this for some other team.
He really seemed a non-fit in Ed Donatell's defense, but in his defense, nobody seemed like they fit in Ed Donatell's defense because it really wasn't a defense.
Metellus plays with energy. He had that pick. He had a bunch of big tackles, and he gets fired up. I love his game, and I know Flores loves him too, man. Yeah, and Flores also loves Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel has a nose for the ball too. Chris mentioned always around the football. How about that guy?
Yeah.
Someone said earlier that Van Ginkel's the free agent signing of the year. It's kind of tough to argue that.
Yeah.
After the first 2 games, at least, and I don't know what the hell's gotten into Patrick Jones over the first 2 weeks of the season. That dude's got he's got 4 sacks already. I don't know if he had 4 sacks his entire career before this year, but no, he's got 4 sacks in 2 games. Dude's just everywhere now.
Again, when you look at what Brian Flores, it obviously it's the player that has to make the play, but Brian Flores looks at the physical skills and ability that the player brings to the table and says, I think you can do this. And if you listen to me, I will put you in a position to make plays. You have to go make the plays, but you listen to me and I will unlock your potential. And that's what he's doing, man. And and now he has the players that he can rotate enough guys in to keep them fresh and allow them to make those plays when they're called upon. I think that has a lot to do with it. I don't think last year, look, last year he had Hunter and Wanham, and he probably played those guys more than they should have because there just weren't enough guys on the roster that he could rotate in enough. I mean, Patrick Jones and Flores' defense is from what I understand, kind of complicated to learn based on what your position is. And now it's Jones' second year in the defense. He looks a lot more comfortable, and he knows what he's being asked to do. And now he's got guys like Cashman and Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner now. I mean, so you can rotate dudes in a lot more frequently so he can stay a lot fresher. Maybe I'm just
I think you're onto something with this. I mean, having a defense like Brian Flores where you're aggressive and you're constantly getting after people, you need to have the depth to be able to bring dudes in waves to make sure that guys can stay fresh. And we talked, last year they had an A+ guy in Danielle Hunter, and then a bunch of dudes that were nowhere near that level. Now they've got a bunch of guys. They don't have an A+ guy necessarily, although if Van Ginkel keeps this up, he's going to get there. But they have, like you said, Turner and Van Ginkel and Ivan Pace and Cashman and we haven't even hardly talked about Jonathan Grenard. I mean, he's been in the
Right.
backfield a lot. He hasn't gotten anybody, but you know, that you just have all these dudes that you can just keep throwing fresh bodies at offenses and keep the pressure on.
I want to throw a comment back up that Nelson Williams said. I think he was referring to me, my comment about Sam Darnold. I think I said he'll make one boneheaded play a game. And he said that is correct, but it looks like we'll get a lot more great plays than boneheaded ones.
So
Are
far.
you guys okay with Sam making like one really stupid throw or play like that panicky pitch back that was a 12-yard loss, and you're kind of going to lose what looked to be a potential drive if it results in that gutsy throw to Naylor on third down that ended up in killing the game, or ending the game essentially, or that deep throw to JJ, or
Thanks,
Jason Finagi, another $5. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Or the throws we saw last week against the Giants. I mean, are those trade-offs you guys can live with?
Me? I can live with it because every quarterback has those moments. You go watch every quarterback in NFL games this morning. Go watch them all. They all had one or two bonehead plays where they panic or whatever. You know what? The problem with it is Darnold, when he makes the panicky plays, the first part of his career, he compiled that or stacked on top of it another bonehead play and another bonehead play and another bonehead play till his confidence was gone. He doesn't seem to do that now. He threw that pick, and next time he got the ball back, he's passing again. That's what I like about it. Just get him back out there, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. And there's going to be games when he has more panicky plays than we thought. Sam Darnold, every fan should be in agreement with this. He has played 2 games. He has started the season not like we all expected.
No.
I think
he looks great.
I think you brought up a good point where in past locations, he could not get past his mistakes because he was on a bad team and they would compound. In this, it sounds like he's able to put his mistakes. He could just kind of put them aside and go on to the next play right away.
Yes. And I think
absolutely.
that comes with a little bit of maturity that he's had over the years,
Nelson,
like you said in the pregame thing, Ted, he has nothing to lose anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have to worry about, I'm going to let it hang out. If I fall apart, then I fall apart.
Let's see. So
I want to say one thing about the defense.
Okay.
The defense that Flores has going out there, it is complicated, but there's a fine line between playing with confidence and playing with energy and not understanding it. I know that sounds kind of confusing. Do you guys remember a defensive coordinator for the Vikings named Floyd Peters?
I do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Floyd Peters at practice always used to tell us guys, quit thinking about it. You know what to do. Don't think. Do it. You know what to do. You know where to get to. If you think about it, you're going to be late to the play. I don't want you thinking. I just want you to react. He used to stress that every practice. He pounded into his guy's head. And I think Flores does the same thing because the Vikings are swarming. They're playing with energy. Sure, it's a tough defense to learn and it's complex, Ted, but they seem to not be thinking about it. They're just playing football. Don't think and play. That's why these guys he got on the offseason, Van Ginkel, he's a perfect Flores player.
Yeah.
Because he just reacts. He doesn't think about, you don't want to overthink anything, then you're too slow. And by the way, if we can get Fred Warner on this team and Dexter Lawrence, we're going to the Super Bowl. I just wanted to throw that in there because it is a lot of times when you get tough defenses to learn and complicated and everything, you guys will like freak out. They'll freak out and they'll get like frozen in the deer in the headlights look. But with Harrison Smith and guys like that, they're not going to let him get to that point. But they're playing with a lot of confidence and they're playing with a lot of energy. And that's because they're not thinking about their role. They're just chiming in.
I did not know this about Floyd Peters. Nelson Williams says Floyd Peters was also, hang on, Groovy, if you could put that back up about, a.k.a. Sergeant Rock, former paratrooper, and still looked like he could kill you with his bare hands as defensive coordinator. That is 100% true. Floyd, if you guys remember from back in the day, Floyd Peters, I believe he was with Jerry Burns Jerry Burns is defensive coordinator, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
Yeah.
was the defensive coordinator from 86 to 90. So yeah, that would have been the Burnsy era.
Yeah. Flip it. Yeah.
then Tampa Bay or somebody stole him from us, but he was always talking about, what, God damn it, what are you thinking for? I don't want you thinking. I want you making the play, because he knows if you have to stop and think about this or that, you're too slow. And it seems like Flores has the Vikings going like that. That's what I see out there.
Shane Lynn mentioned Chandler had a hell of a game, 8.2 yards per carry, and Aaron Jones, minus the fumble at the goal line,
he looked great today.
He looked good too. I mean, last week the Jets really couldn't get anything going against the vaunted 49ers defense. I said on the pregame show, the 49ers defense isn't nearly as good as everybody thinks they were. And I'm sorry, they just did not look good this week. And if the Vikings don't turn over Northfield, at least they wouldn't let Jefferson on a golf cart with that. All right, that's funny. That's a prize right there. That's a prize. That's it. All right, Northfield. All right, fine. Get a hold of Ruby. ViceReportDruids@gmail.com. That made all three of us laugh. That's prize worthy. That's funny.
I had no idea. I was looking up Floyd Peters to get his coaching resume. I had no idea that dude was a 3-time Pro Bowler as a defensive tackle in the NFL.
Really?
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler in 64, 66, and 67 when he was with Philadelphia.
That guy
played 13 years.
That guy was gnarly. He'd go out to dinner, and if you cut in front of him at the salad bar, he'd punch you in the face. He didn't give a shit about nobody.
All right,
talking running backs, Ted, we have 2 starters. Both those guys are starting running backs. I love our running back.
Yeah, you're really good. And Nicholas Russo makes a good point. I don't hold it against Aaron Jones for the fumble. He had the ball cradled like that. I mean, was it Fred Warner, I think, caused the fumble as well?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just a Peanut Tillman. I mean, that was just a great play. I mean, sometimes guys just make great plays. And
Warner did it to Darnold heading out of the sidelines. He knocked that out.
He did. Yeah, he did. If Darnold had been like just moving out of the pocket, that would have been a fumble as well, and that could have been a disaster.
God, what a great play call that was. That was perfect.
So anyway, we talked about the Metellus pick. It's 13-7. And then that's when the Vikings kind of seemed to take control back of the game. One play, it was a great play call. You talked about it earlier, Drew. Darnold finds a wide open Jalen. Naylor, I don't even know her. And it's 20-7 Vikings, and you're thinking, all right, fine, okay, cool. This game is back in control. And that's when the Jones disaster happens on the one. The 49ers go 99 yards, and it's 20-14. And then that final drive by the Vikings, other than the kneel down to end the game, with nothing but backups other than the starting offensive line and Sam Darnold for skill position guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most impressive drives for the Vikings I can remember in a long going back to maybe time. The Bills game, that wild Bills game a couple of years ago in 22 when they went 13-4. That was just amazing. I mean, when they needed to make a play, somebody stepped up. And I can't remember who it was earlier. I apologize in the comments. They said, I love the depth on this team. And we talked about it in the preview. You said, hey, look, Addison's going to be out. I'm still okay with the depth on the wide receiver core. And it showed today. Yeah. Jalen Naylor made plays. Brandon Powell made plays. Somebody talk, man. I'm talking too much.
No, I mean, if you look at, we mentioned it earlier. Aaron Jones went out on the first play at that drive. So Darnold's out there with no Jefferson, no Addison, no TJ Hawkinson, no Aaron Jones. I mean, he's throwing to dude. It's literally what you'd see in like the second quarter of a preseason game.
Yeah.
With the exception of the offensive line. I mean, having starting offensive line out there helps, but the skill position guys, they're all second and third string dudes. They're way down there on the depth chart, and that was an incredible drive. That is probably one of the better drives of Sam Darnold's career. Let alone, I'm not terribly well versed on the rest of his career or anything like that, but that's definitely his best drive as a Viking. I would have to say.
Probably his best drive since he was playing for the Carolina Panthers, and you guys probably remember this well.
Yep.
When he had to go what was it, 90 yards to tie the game against the Vikings to send the game to overtime.
Yeah, and he did it.
Yeah, and he did.
Not to mention everything Chris just said. He had to do all that under pressure. He had a lot of pressure today. So
he did.
And I mean, you got to take your hat off to him. Most guys would have folded, saying, "You're giving me Brandon Powell and who's this other guy?" I mean, here we are, week 2. The 2 starters are out. I mean, what?
So that play, that game clutching drive was 14 plays, 62 yards, 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Drew, you talk about dagger drives to end a game, to clinch a game, and the Vikings rarely have done that in the last 15, 20 years.
Right.
3rd and 7, Darnold pass to Powell for 11 yards. First clutch play.
Third down.
Yep. Yeah. The next key 3rd down play, 3rd and 8 at the Minnesota 46. That was the seed to Naylor for 26 yards.
3rd and 8, 26 yards to Naylor. Yep. Money down. Another high pressure throw.
The next 3rd down play, 3rd and 2 at the 20. Darnold hits Powell for 5. Yep. And then they get it down to 3rd and goal at the 12. And they just run the ball. I mean, they had some goofy plays down by the goal line I didn't really care for, but they ended up making San Francisco use their timeouts, and then Reichard made his kicks.
So that dagger drive had 3 third down conversions?
Yes.
Man, I'm telling you, people out there, you gotta tip your hat for that. That's at the end of the game with everything on the line.
Against the defending NFC champions, by the way, who many consider to have the best defense, if not in the NFC, in the NFL.
And I will say that sequence after the short pass to Powell to pick up that 3rd down, that was the one truly bad play call I think KOC had today, because they ran that toss to Chandler, and Chandler wanted to throw that ball. He was looking for somebody, didn't have it open. And not only did he not throw the ball, he wound up getting pushed out of bounds.
You can't get out of bounds.
When you're trying to make the Niners burn their timeouts, and they eventually wound up doing that anyway. But yeah, that was the one awful play call I think KOC had today. But he was on for most of the day, as far as what I could tell.
But I thought so too. Yeah.
But the Vikings of old, when they got the kickoff on the first 3rd down, they wouldn't have gotten it. They would have had to punt, and the defense would have been forced to have to win the game.
Yeah.
But the Vikings, that was a deciding factor, taking all that time, 6.5 minutes or something. That was the game.
Yep.
It made Shanahan burn his timeouts, which came back. That's what it's all. Yep. You're playing the clock at that point. I'm with Ted on some of those play calls down by the goal line, but that's 3 times they could have put the dagger in them, and they had like a false start or something. But the fact that they got down there, and we were talking online going, at this point, we just need that 3 points means another score. And that's what it's all about.
Shane Lynn, thanks for the $5. And he asks, when Drew blows his whistle, is he pulling a train?
Ouch.
When the camera's off, yeah. Even when I'm by myself.
Jesus. Ouch.
Folks, welcome to Vikings Report After Dark.
Yeah.
I don't need no help.
I will say, the one thing I didn't like, and I hate this, for as much as they did to improve the kickoff, I think at least they tried to improve the kickoff.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this in the offseason. I hate the fact now that you have to announce you're going to do an onside kick. Like, look, it worked to the Vikings' advantage.
Ridiculous.
But the fact that you have to announce you're going to do an onside kick, you can only do it in the 4th quarter. You can only do it when you're trailing. That's just stupid. That's just stupid.
So take that element of surprise out of the game. Let's take that out.
Yeah, right. And then when you do that, then KOC was able to see what the 49ers formation was able to call a timeout and potentially adjust whatever they were going to do. It didn't matter. I think it was either Oliver or Johnny Munt that landed on the ball, and game was over, went into victory formation. So anyways,
how can anybody not be a Sam Darnold believer after these last 2 weeks?
I guess the only thing I could say is he had that really bad interception down in the red zone. And he had that one just kind of boneheaded pitch back, that when it looks like they were kind of trying to do like maybe I don't know what it was.
Pass,
yeah. like pass back to him or whatever that got blown up right away when he should have just fell to the ground and just declared victory and called it a day, whatever. But I don't know, man, because the dude, we've said this last week, I'll say it again, the dude has absolute true faith and belief in his ability to throw a football and place it in his receiver's hands anywhere on the football field. And I think that's all we've ever wanted in the starting quarterback of the Vikings. We haven't had that since since before Kirk. I mean,
Northfius.
Yeah. Thanks, Northfius. Keenum had the stones, he just didn't have the arm. Nick Mullins has the gunslinger attitude, he just doesn't have the arm or the accuracy. I mean, Darnold has the arm and the accuracy and the belief. I mean, now he's got the talent around him to do it. I hope this is a full-on redemption year for the guy.
He's having fun. He's having fun with what he's doing. The things I like about the Vikings is, we've been fans for a long time. The word faith. I have faith in my team again. I got faith in my offense. I got faith in my kicking game. The Vikings are restoring my faith, which was piss poor low the last couple seasons, because if it was going to be bad, Chris, it was going to be bad, and something bad was going to happen. But every time that gloom starts to creep in, guys, the Vikings do something to turn that gloom right around. At least the first 2 weeks, I am stoked about that, because that's mentality. That's playing smart football, winning football. And I also like that you can't get anything on the Vikings on the perimeter. The Niners tried it a bunch of times. I mean, they got most of their rushing yardage up the middle, but they tried to get Debo out. He got shut down on the perimeter. The screen passes weren't working. I like the Vikings defense, the speed of the defense. I didn't think they would be that fast, guys. I didn't. But they are fast to the football. Secondary guys, everybody.
This defense has 10 sacks in 2 games so far, which is insane. I mean, and like we said, and we go back to talking about Darnold, and we've said it a few times on here before. He might not have showed it the first few seasons of his career, but there's a reason that dude was a number 3 overall pick in the National Football League draft. I mean, somebody, they watched him at USC. If you go back and watch his USC tape, dude is phenomenal. I mean, there's a reason that, somebody decided that he was worth a 3rd overall pick. And, the situations he was in before now were kind of a mess. And now he's in a great situation. And he's, like Case Keenum did, he's going to kind of bring himself back. And that's what he's done so far.
Northfius is going to pay my light bill if he keeps going. Thanks very much. Again, none of it goes to us. It goes everything you guys donate to us goes right back to the prize vault for prizes. Thanks so much.
Northfius made this cool wooden wine holder thing.
Yeah,
it's in the other room, but I'll show it to you in the next show. But he sent us that in the mail. I thought it was really cool of him. So thank you for that.
Token Tamadachi says Jalen Naylor had himself a game, not just on the crazy turnaround grab that was thrown to the wrong shoulder, but the block for the JJ touchdown and all the plays in between. I think he could be a solid wide receiver 2 or 3. I agree. We talked about the Chris talked about that on the Jefferson touchdown, and I don't think that throw that Naylor had on that 3rd down on that final drive was to the wrong shoulder. I think it was placed directly where Sam wanted to throw it, because if you look at it, he was kind of blanketed, and there was really only one place to throw it. And I think Darnold threw it exactly where he wanted to, and Naylor made a great adjustment to that throw. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
No, he was throwing.
Doesn't throw that pass either.
No,
he was throwing it. He was throwing it to the one place where Naylor could get it, and nobody else could get it.
Yeah.
If Naylor doesn't get his hands on it, it falls incomplete. It's not a complete disaster or anything. But no, that was. I think that throw was, like you said, exactly what Sam Darnold wanted it to be.
One last thing I want to talk about, and we'll get ready for the wheel here if Ruby's ready. I want to talk about Jordan Mason. Early in the first half, Jordan Mason, that dude might Wally Pipp Christian McCaffrey. And folks, if you don't know who Wally Pipp, look up Wally Pipp and Lou Gehrig in the Yankees in the 20s and all that. But he was running. He was getting yards in chunks in the first half. And the Vikings defense had absolutely no answer. And we were kind of all texting back and forth in our little chat group. And I one of us, I think it was me, but I might not have been, said something to the effect, if they don't figure out the 49ers running game, the Vikings defense is going to be completely gassed by the fourth quarter. And after halftime, I don't know what that second half stats were for Mason. I think he had something like 75 or 80 yards in the first half. He ended up with 100 yards exactly. So whatever the Vikings did at halftime, they got it figured out. And it couldn't have been the score because it was a close score at halftime. A credit again to Brian Flores for making adjustments and getting him pretty much neutralized, the 49ers running game neutralized. And Drew, you mentioned Deebo Samuel not being much of a factor running the ball. They like to get him a lot of touches, both running to the perimeter and catching the ball. They didn't really get a whole lot of production out of him out of Mason in the second half and out of Deebo Samuel, period, at all today.
No. I mean, Deebo made a couple of nice catches on plays where it looked like Purdy was like trying to throw it over his head. But other than that, he didn't do much. He get his he had two carries for minus 10 yards, and let's see. Oh, he did have 8 catches for 110 yards, so he did have 100 yards received. It didn't seem like he had that many, but I don't know. According to the box score, that's what he had.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. If I'm a GM in the NFL, I'm making a trade right now for Mason. Because that guy is like a faster Marshawn Lynch. He's like a cross between Leroy Horde and Marsh. That guy is a great running back. And he is a starting running back in this league. I don't know why he's going to be on that guy. I am trading for him, Ted. If I don't have a bell cow back right now, that's the guy I'm targeting. I'm trading a draft pick for him. He is fantastic.
49ers aren't going to trade him because they put McCaffrey on the IR. And I heard something either last night or this morning that it might be a season-ending thing for McCaffrey now.
You get guys that come through this league now and then, Christian Okoye. You get guys that come through this league that people don't want to tackle. You don't want to. The Vikings on some of those plays did not want to tackle him.
No.
And Metellus had to tackle him head on one play, and he got up shaking his head. There's some guys that I'm telling you, that Mason guy is going to be a starting 1,000-yard rusher for somebody because I didn't do a draft write-up on him either. If somebody could check and tell me where he went to school, I must have missed him. How long's he been in the league? Why is that guy even a backup somewhere? He's one of the best running backs I've seen in the NFL. He's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing he doesn't do well.
Yeah, it's been an impressive 2 weeks for him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And he is, I think we mentioned this in the preview show, he is taking the running backs don't matter case directly to the 49ers,
who
put a lot of money in a running back and traded a lot of capital for a running back and then paid a lot of money to a running back.
Well,
you not have a running back play for them.
I'm just saying, you usually don't see backups that can play like that. You don't.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, so we are about ready to wrap this show up. Toots is having technical difficulties with her microphone, and her camera, but she's able to put the wheel up on the screen. So, Ruby, if you're able to, go ahead and put the wheel up, and when you're ready, go ahead and spin the wheel, and we'll let us know who the prize winner is. And she says hi. She says tell everybody hi, just that her mic and her camera isn't working today.
While the wheel is spinning, I just want to point out for fantasy purposes that you folks that picked Marvin Harrison Jr. last week, he's already at 4 for 130 and 2 touchdowns.
Shut up, Chris.
This afternoon, so yeah.
Freebird!
Freebird!
Play Freebird! Play Freebird! Shut up!
AJ.
Who won?
If I leave here tomorrow.
Who was the first winner tonight? I got to write it down.
Whoever made the joke about not getting on the golf cart with Ted.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but
yeah, it was Northfield. That's right.
Northfield. And then
AJ Freebird.
There's that one guy that had the name like the heavy metal guitarist, Tolkien Toguchi.
Yeah. Anyways, so congratulations on our winners on our prize winners tonight. Go ahead and get a hold of Ruby at VikingsReportDrewATed@gmail.com. VikingsReportDrewATed@gmail.com. They will go. She will send you the link to the prize vault, and you guys can go ahead and pick a prize.
Suck it, Shanahan.
Absolutely.
Yay! Yay, beer! Red Stripe! Yay, beer! I like everybody. Thank you for joining us for the show tonight. It's great to have everybody in there.
So the Minnesota Vikings, led by the Ginger Assassin Sam Darnold,
Yes!
are 2-0.
Ted called it in the pregame, everybody. Ted,
I did.
I
He
said
did.
the Niners are going to sneak it out. I think Chris said, and Ted said, you guys are full of shit. Vikings are for real. They're going to win this game. And Ted Glover, you're the man of the hour. Cracked skull and all.
That's my brain injury. It makes me say crazy things. All right. So for Drew, for Chris, for Toonces, we will see you next Friday and Saturday for our Vikings Report preview against the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud, the Daniil Hunter revenge game, the Jonathan Grenard revenge game as well.
And the Blake Cashman revenge game.
And the Blake Cashman revenge. A lot of revenge games going on next week at US Bank Stadium.
Revenge is going to be the theme.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm going to take a Purdy and wipe my juice check.
All right, folks. SKOL Vikings. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, SKOL, bitches!